YouTube 9. Alrighty there, folks. How you doing? This is a request video. So it'll be entitled Golden Race Update 2020. So got asked to make a update about the Golden Race, and I'll gladly do that. Now, so this just leads us to the question. First question is, what does the Golden Race do? So in historical times, well, ancient historical times, we'll just go back 65,000 BCE, and we'll start there and come forward. So that was the beginning of the Golden Race for the Cometian era. It wasn't Egypt yet at that time. It was called Kemet, and there wasn't really a Golden Race yet at that time. So what happened is that along at 65,000 BCE in Kemet, Egypt, what started was a sun cycle termed the Age of Khepri. And Khepri is the scarab beetle that you see there in Kemet in Egypt. So basically what that beetle represents is development and enlightenment. So it represents intellectual development and spiritual enlightenment. That's just what the symbol was for that particular time. Okay, but that's just what it represents. And so from at that time, every race on the planet, and I'll recite the races that we had at that time. We got basically 5 now. That's huge. Hue is in color. But at that time there were 7, and you've seen the reliefs before. You've seen Osiris as green, and you've seen Isis as blue. So, and then you've looked at some of the Vedic folklore, of India, and you've seen it also in China, and you've seen it in Central Asia, Tibet. In their reliefs, you'll see these green people or blue people. Now, people can tell you whatever the fuck they want to tell you that shit means, but basically what it was is that there were people that had that color, they had that hue to their skin, and so they were termed moon colored. So we got basically what we call white today, then like brown, black, yellow, so black, brown, yellow, white, and red. Okay, skin, hues. And then we had the 2 moon colored people that were that moon colored green and that moon colored blue you've seen. And so but the moon colored people were kind of on the way out at that time period, because their tenure on the earth was kind of over, it was kind of up or whatever. But there were still a few of them left, and like I said, you see that in the expression of the nectars of Osiris and Isis. So but basically let's just use the 5 races that we know of today. Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that those were the 5 races that were primary at the beginning of the Age of Khepri in Kemet. Okay, and that's pretty accurate. All right, so the idea is that a golden race will always do one or 2 things. It will either save the planet, or there will be so much development behind the golden race, that they will, by their example and their teachings and the basic structure of the society, when they are prevalent, and when I say prevalent, they pretty much run the shit. They will be able to have such a vibratory impact upon the society that a lot of people will be led out of the situation. Because first of all, the earth is not a place to continually, that you want to continually incarnate. Of course, yeah, it's beautiful. Of course, yeah, it's mysterious. Of course, yeah, it's unbelievable. It's amazing. All that. It's just unfathomable. There's no doubt about that. But it's not a place that you want to continually incarnate. It's a school. It's just a place of learning. It's like a really nice rehab center or whatever. You know what I mean? Like one of those kind when you go to, it costs you $500,000 to go to the motherfucker. Okay. That's what the earth basically is. It's just a giant place of learning, of spiritual development. And when I say spiritual development, that is definitely the crux of the golden race. Because when you hear people say, I'm spiritual, or I'm spirituality, or you hear black people love to say, we's the spiritual peoples, you know, and all that bullshit. It's just, really all it means is that you develop a long spiritual line. And really, just true spirituality is it's just simple. It's just the golden rule. You reap what you sow. That's why you should, you know, always do your best and interact with your environment, the world, the earth, and other people in such a way that you do your very, very, very best to either eliminate or not create any negative karma. And that takes a lot of work. You have to be very diligent. You have to even observe all your thoughts. So the first step to it is consistent thought, word, and deed. So if the golden rule is accurate, which it is, then you can't treat any other race, or that's the first thing. You can't treat another race with inequity. You can't be better than anybody else. Okay. So the whole reason for Kemet being created was to be a giant hospital and university system. So the people all came together at Kemet at 65,000 BC, and that's every race. So you hear black people say, oh, there wasn't no white peoples yet. Bullshit. You hear black people say, oh, there wasn't no white people in Kemet. Bullshit. There was always white people in Kemet. What they're getting at is accurate, and that's that. And what they're saying is accurate in the sense that it pretty much, for a long time, I'm talking a long time, a couple 100,000 years, you know, that area, Kemet, slash before that even Atlantis, was pretty much more or less ran by non-whites. That's red, black, brown, and people with the yellow skin and the red skin. Okay, so they all kind of had different functions or whatever. But so now there's a problem going on in the human genome at this time of 65,000 BCE, and you know, it's known how to fix it, but it takes a lot of time to get to the point to be able to fix it. And it's all scientific, metaphysical too. Okay, so This is also back at this time. This is when Kabbalah was huge. Kabbalah came in, was huge to be used for these purposes, and it was necessary and needed. Like now, Kabbalah ain't needed for nothing. Kabbalah is used erroneously now. It's used for control purposes, and it was anything can be used the wrong way also. So it's 65,000 BCE in Kemet. Every group came together at the beginning of the age of Kepri, and if for the express purpose of race mixing for an entire procession of the equinoxes. That's 25,920 years of race mixing. So at the end of this period, 25,920 years of race mixing, you're basically at about 40,000 BCE, 39,500 BCE or so. And there is the prevalent group now in Kemet that's running the show, are the results of all this race mixing that went on for 26,000 years. And so, that's why you hear them say the golden age of Horus, because after the age of the Neters, remember, then came the age of the Shemsu Hor, or the sons of Horus, and it was called a golden age. So I don't really like too much to be like, the golden age, because, it's just completely misused. But for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and call it that, because it was kind of that. Okay, so and this golden race, they had a higher level of genetic intelligence than the rest of the regular races. So more than the white race, more than the black race, more than the red race, more than the brown race, and whatever else the other fucking races are. Yeah. Other races. So. And the reason why is because now it's been proven, this is nothing mysterious. It's been proven that memory is tied to IQ. So IQ is intelligence quotient. Okay. Memory is tied to IQ, and genetics have a memory. So you see, so their genetic intelligence is higher than the isolated races because they have about an equal measure of all the races infused into their genetics. So their genetic intelligence surpasses. All right. So this group was able to build the pyramids, build the megalithic sites that you see. Okay. A lot of megalithic sites and a lot of the pyramids weren't there. And it's arguable that the Sphinx wasn't there at that time. Might have been there, it might not have been. But it's arguable that it wasn't there and that it got built according to people who seriously study the situation. Probably started getting built about that time. Somewhere around, 40,000 BCE or so. And I'm telling you that the majority of the dynamic megalithic sites of Kemet were erected at this time by this golden race that had these higher level of genetic intelligence. And they were more dynamic because you got to figure these people spent 26,000 years infusing the Mot into their genetic structure, infusing the Mot into their being. What is the Mot? People are, oh, the Mot's this, oh, the Mot's that, oh, What the Mot does is the Mot infuses the talents into a person. So you heard it saying, oh, you're born with this talent or you're born with that talent. And then, so you're born with 5 talents and you die with 10. The way you're born with 5 talents and die with 10 is because you develop the other 5 talents during your lifetime by using what would be termed the Mot. And that is a system. See, the Mot is the origin of religion. And religion simply means nothing but, all it means is habit. Just habit. So the Mott used the Mott as a way to establish positive habits. And at some point that habit becomes a talent. It becomes so infused, it becomes a talent. And there were some people in ancient Atlantis and Kemet that, had up to 360 talents. So, senses. So we're all born with 5 talents. We've got 5 senses. Okay. But some people don't even have those. Right? But imagine you got 360 of them. Do the math. Could you build the Pyramid of Giza? I bet you could. I bet you could completely figure everything out like that. Okay, so that was the whole purpose of it, because they had to fix themselves, to fix the human genome. So the golden race either saves the planet, or it leads enough people out. It teaches enough people how to graduate the Earth, because the Earth's not a place you want to keep incarnated. So it either saves the planet, or it helps people to graduate so they don't have to keep incarnating. All right. So at this point, this time it was to save the planet, of course, because it could be saved. All right. Now, is the planet going to be saved? Probably not. Probably not. But we got a little while before it's just completely over. So 2020 Golden Race update is to explain how to live, to produce a golden race, so that we can stave off the destruction of the planet for long enough for a few generations to live, grow on a spiritual level enough to graduate this planet when their incarnation is over. We call it death. So that's what spiritual means. Spiritual people, whatever. Spiritual simply means that you live in such a way that you either eliminate negative karma or you don't create it. So the Vedic texts call that dharma. So you live in a state of dharma, basically. Okay. Is it easy? Hell no. In today's world, it's very difficult, because it's more difficult to live that way because you live in a society where the human female has been so corrupted until it's just there's no logical sense to what the human female is up to. It's just, you got about 85% of the human females are just gone. They're just gone. That's it. There ain't no redemption. There ain't no spiritual development. There ain't. As a matter of fact, if you're the kind of person, especially a man or a woman, that's really seeking to live in Dharma and really seeking spiritual development and really developing yourself in a spiritual way, the human female today is designed to destroy you. She's designed to stop you. She's designed to lead you to fragmentation. She's designed to lead you away from a consistent thought, word, and deed rooted in the abstract or the spirit. In other words, no negative karma. She is the epitome of negative karma. and she is, and if you get in her valence, she's going to some kind of way force you into negative karma. If she can't get you in her valence, then she'll try to emotionally traumatize you. See? You know, I mean, every guy, you know, a normal guy, you know, you like women or whatever, and you don't want to, like, you know, I mean, these fucking bitches, you know, but they're just, you know, I mean, you see some stuff in the Bible that you ask yourself the question, why is it there? Then you ask yourself other questions and stuff like that, and then you hear these, then you compare the stories to what you experience, and then you do some thinking, and you'll be like, well, maybe there is something to that story of the Garden of Eden, the serpent, and the female, and all that kind of stuff. Because there is. Now, the key to transmuting that kind of crazy shit is golden, is to live golden, which is the golden rule, which is thought, word, and deed consistent and towards the positive, and living in a spiritual way, which is you simply don't create negative karma, and the karma that you can tell you have, you work to alleviate it. So you live in a way that's the golden rule, you know, the do unto others kind of thing. You know what I mean? Now, if you see what I'm saying now, so if doing unto others to you is traumatizing other people, see, that's how the human female is today. Yeah. So not all of them. Now, like I said, about 85% of them, but that percentage is too high. That percentage is just too high. About 85% of them are mentally ill. I mean, fragmentation, inconsistent thought, word, and deed. And so, see, women are the ones that ground the thought form into the ethers of the planet. See? So that's why, and you can't stop that. There's nothing you can do about it. See, unless that woman herself sees a problem with the behavior and decides that she wants to change it. Now, if that's the case, and she encounters a man who is living in that way, and you know, and they're in their cycle of he likes women, she likes men, then they got a really good chance, see, of producing together a golden child. And now the X factor for a golden child is love. Okay, so now if you live in a golden way, but you marry another black person, or you're white, you marry another white person, or you're whatever color, and you marry a person of your color, that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But see, the matrix that we live in causes fear about coupling outside of your demographic, outside of your class level, outside of your race, outside of your income level, all these different external motifs. It's like, matching a pair of shoes to a dress. Oh, well, I can't possibly marry a guy that is shorter than me. I can't possibly marry a guy, that has that doesn't have a 20-inch cock. I can't possibly marry a guy that, all that bullshit, it's just the emphasis on the external. Yeah. Whereas spiritual development has nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever to do with that. You see? So we're off track. Okay. So, but if you do and get a girl now, it's terribly an error to discount another person for love because the color of their skin is different than yours. That intolerance is idiotic. It's insane. That intolerance is insane. And you just see more and more of that fundamentalism, you know, on the internet, you know, black people, you know, oh, we're original people, we're the spiritual people, we can't mix with the devil, you know. Are white people evil? Probably most of them. But, you know, I mean, more than half of them, absolutely. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you can't produce a golden child. Because you got to remember, you ain't better than nobody else. And you exist and live on this matrix for a reason. Okay? And you got to understand what your opportunities are. You see? And you have an opportunity to do one or two things. Well, you have an opportunity to produce something that'll have a higher level of genetic intelligence. Now that something might come along and do the opposite of what I say, which is I say the earth ain't gonna make it, but it might come along and save the fucking planet. And if it's gonna be saved, it'll be saved from somebody like that. You see? So that's why you should not discount another person for love, or you can't be with them for love because of appearances, because you have to keep a certain appearance up. A lot of people are afraid that if they don't keep a certain appearance up, they'll lose respect of other people, or it'll hurt their career, or see, this is all reasons. This is all like stuff that doesn't matter. That's not living spiritual. You're living antithetical to spiritual principles. The spirit on another person on the inside doesn't have no color. Just like the spirit on you don't have no color. So if you meet a person that's not the same skin color as you, but you have those feelings of love for that person, that's what you should pursue. You should not stay in situations where you're doing it for any other reason than that. It don't matter if the other person got $5 and you got $5 million. It doesn't. There's nothing to do with the spirit. Nothing at all. You see. So, you know. So, now what you want to do is, you know, to produce this child, you know, once y'all get together and blah blah blah, you decide you love each other. And now, if you really want to produce the best golden child, I told you before, but I'll run it past you once again. You want to sleep in the bed with each other for 30 consecutive days without having sex. Now you can pleasure her, and you can give her an orgasm. It don't matter. But as a man, you can't not have an orgasm for 30 days. I don't give a fuck what happens. For 30 days, you sleep in that bed with her, right next to her. You can cuddle up next to her, you can grind on her all you want, but you don't want to have an orgasm. But if you do happen to do it, don't beat yourself up. Just try to, you know, just try to keep it to once or twice or 3 times, you know. But it's best if you can, you know, not do it. Okay. And then what'll start to happen is a third thing will start to be created between the two of you. Your energy, your friction, your energy between each other will start to create a third thought form. Okay. And you want to feed that invisible thought form that's going on. So you want to like read some really good books, even sometimes read the book together. You know what I mean? You want to listen to you want to listen to developmental artistic music. You know, like good classical music. You know, good jazz music. Good R&B, soul singing, good classic rock, And you want to variate that. You don't make it just the same. You got 30 days to do all this, you know. And watch some good movies, like, I mean, ones that are make you think, like Oscar winners. You know what I mean? Like long ones that you have to concentrate on. You know, like The English Patient, or Meet Joe Black, or Dr. Zhivago, whatever, you know. Stuff that's really, really good, really well made stuff, you know. And absorb all that stuff for 30 days. You want to even eat healthy. Try to do some yoga. You know, like do yoga or Tai Chi like for 3, 4, 5 minutes every day for the 30 days. You know, eat vegetables and eat a well-balanced meal every day for like 30 days. Do your best to think as positively as you can for like 30 days straight. You know, try to just control your negative thinking for that long. You know, you don't have to completely give it up. Just, you know, there's a metaphor to it that goes, pessimism is of the intellect, and optimism is of the will. So, you know, use that in thinking, you know. And then, you know, study some philosophy, study art, you know, and nothing wrong with sports. What sports do you like? You know, mix it all together. You know, drink some good wine, take some really good vitamins and stuff like that for like 30 days. You know what I mean? Like live like a highly cultured, dynamic human for 30 days. Then after that, and even when you're in the bed sleeping, you know, especially if you can make her leave her panties on, because that way you won't put it in, see. But I know you motherfuckers here, so I'm just saying. All I'm saying is do your best. I know you ain't gonna be able to do all the shit, especially when it comes to the sex part. Some of you will, and the ones of you that do, the being you produce will be more dynamic. But you'll still produce an incredibly dynamic being doing what I'm saying. So after all this stuff that you've done for 30 days, then you can penetrate, and you can have orgasm inside of her. See what I'm saying? You know, and you just keep having sex, and she's gonna get pregnant. And what that does is that brings you guys' vibratory constructs closer together. Because you see a lot of people when they're together for like years before they have a child. You ever notice how the child's almost an exact replica of the two of them? You can see both of their faces in the child so well. You know, it's just unbelievable. You know, it looks like you could think like, okay, this looks like Jeff, and you see Jeff and the daughter. But no, it looks like Mary, and all of a sudden you see, yeah, it's Mary. You know, almost like a chimera. You know what I mean? That's what'll happen. You'll condense the need to be together for a long time by doing what I'm telling you. For your energy to fuse. Okay, guys, you'll have a fast track to energy infusion. That's a complementary energy infusion. Okay, sex means synergistic energy exchange. Okay, so when you're talking, when you're reading, when you're listening to music together, you're having sex. You know, when you're in the bed and you're cuddling and you really want to put it in, and her nipples are fucking breaking through the fucking nightgown, and you know, and all that, you're still having sex. When you're kissing, when you're blah blah, you're still having sex. You're still exchanging energy. You see, it's just that when you ejaculate inside of her, when you release inside of her, then that third thought form that you guys have been cultivating, it now comes together and it crystallizes. You see, so the entity that gets born through you, they have a more dynamic energy field. Their aura is more what's the best word? Consistent, more organized. They'll just, you know, It just did. So, so that's how that's now, now it's now of course if you're white, the very best situation would be if one of you are white, one of you are black, or one of you are black and one of you are Asian, or one of you are Indian and one of you are white, or one of the best combination would be to combine the skin color. But don't go and oh well fuck you because you're not white. I mean, if you love a black girl and you're black, then you should honor that and love her. You can still produce a child that's golden. You see? All right. So it's just the one thing you got to consider is this: right now at this time of history, with the earth being as fucked up as it is, especially with the way race stuff is. Lots of women who are white were black males in their last lifetime, and they incarnated in this lifetime as a white woman to mate with a black male to save the black race. That's just the case. So that's one thing you got to consider. So when you meet a white woman that you have an affinity to, but you're this brother that's supposed to be like, oh, I'm supposed to be for the peoples, so I'm supposed to be with my peoples, oh, I can't marry no devil, That's all bullshit. That's not consistent. That's not even consistent with the implementation and the origins of Kemet. The origins of Kemet had every race, with the intentions of those races mixing with each other. And they did and created the Shimsu Hor, the golden race, the golden race of the golden age of Horus. And then they built all the pyramids and shit. See? So, are we going to save the planet? Probably not. But could it be saved? It's possible. How would it be saved? The golden race would do it. So you see at the beginning of the end, Barack Obama became president. See, whether you like Obama or not, I mean, every president of the United States has to have some serial killer in them. I mean, they have to. I mean, I'm saying, but he still was a very decent human being overall. I mean, he did fucked up shit, blah, 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 But still, he was the beginning. He was the example for a moniker for the golden race, you see, because his mother was white and his father was black. Mother was real white, pale. Father was black as, charcoal. You see, they produced Barack Obama, the only legitimate president of the United States ever, because he's the only one he's the only non-white. See? But I think they said that Abraham Lincoln was non-white. So, and then there's some presidents that they had to have they were like born white, but they had to be golden, on the inside, like Lyndon Johnson, because like John Kennedy, like Lincoln, so maybe even Jimmy Carter. So Obama was here to give us an idea that we have to live a different way. Okay, so and he pretty much accomplished that on the surface. No matter what he is behind the scenes or, any other kind of way, he still presented a vibratory construct that was positive enough that people can ride that wave. So, and also would make it so a lot of white people would not be afraid to mix with black people and vice versa. And then you see the best example that ever happened in the whole planet of it currently with Meghan Markle, Princess Duchess Meghan Markle, Duchess Meghan Markle of Sussex, and Prince Harry. He's the Duke of Sussex. And then they produced Archie of Sussex. So that's a golden child. That's the best example you could possibly have, because that's the #1 royal family on the planet, #1 royal family in history. And what do? They produce a golden child. Smack dab in your face. You see? And who was the precursor to that? Diana. Harry's mother. She loved black men more than she did Charles. You know, she died with Dodi Fayed, who, you know, was non-white. She had, 4 or 5 different affairs with black males, you know, as well as the fact you can tell Queen Elizabeth II, if you watch that show The Crown and you really look at her eyes when she's around the King of Ghana and some of the videos in real life, you can tell she was in love with that man, for real. You know, I mean, women know. I mean, she ain't gonna love Mountbatten. What's his name? What's her husband's name? Prince, not, what's his name? Let's see. What's Queen Elizabeth's husband? Yeah, Elizabeth husband. Oh, Philip. Yeah, Prince Philip. You know, she ain't gonna love Prince Philip more than no black male. Not no big ass nigger from motherfucking big dynamic Guyanese black male. She gonna love him. Yeah. So all women love black men first. Trust me. I mean, it's an archetype. It's an archetype. Okay? That's why, white men have to be superheroes and stuff, because all superheroes are based on a black male. That's why Hollywood had to come up with the Shakespearean and Wagnerian positioning system on the screen, because they had to convert all white males into a black male with the positioning system. So they put the white woman in the middle. It could be, doesn't matter who's playing her, just the leading lady is a white transsexual, and the love interest is to her left, and the controller, programmer, handler is to her right. But the love interest is a black male. That's God. That's Jesus. That's the love interest. That's to her left. That's the true love. But she'll, how women are. That's what that saying goes. I remember I read a Sidney Sheldon book back in the 70s that said all women are whores for security. So, like I said, 85% of them are nuts. So, they will go with the programmer, controller, handler scheme. But the controller, programmer, handler is to her right. It's a white male, doesn't matter what color the person playing in the room. And he represents rape, pedophilia, transsexualism, porn, dumbing down, control. And the one on her left represents, that's the love interest. That's how Hollywood does it. So, not me, it's Hollywood arranges that positioning on the screen according to Shakespearean and Richard Wagner. Modified it for the Nazis. He updated it for the Nazis to make it into a Nordic god model. So, it's not me, it's just observations, just me explaining the shit. So,